Hello, I'm Michael Pearson. This is The Human Condition. Today's topic is public health and immunity. With the COVID world that we all live in now, it's extremely important for us to remember that there are more things than just a wonder drug or a vaccine. Now, I'm not against vaccines. I'm not against the concept of vaccines. I'm not against the application of vaccines. However, all things must be questioned. All things that humans do must be questioned. Humans are susceptible to greed and fear, and they can make decisions that are bad based on fear, where they are too afraid to do critical thinking, and they can also make decisions that are based on greed, where they also don't perform critical thinking because they're incentivized against it. I will not back down on this topic. This is extremely important. So, vaccines should be examined just like everything else. Ralph Nader examined the safety of cars in the United States and revolutionized car safety. We need to be able to do that for every consumer product. Now, the immune system of humans is extremely complex, and it is under the control of the nervous system. So it's important for us to know that one of the first things that I would like to do with my patients is make sure that people have healthy brains. Now, that's not the most important thing. It's an important thing, but it's not the most important thing. I think that the most important thing for the immune system is understanding the history of public health. The history of public health is not that we wait for a wonder drug, we wait for universities to do research, and we wait for a vaccine or a treatment to come about and save us all. Usually, the discipline of public health involves looking at several factors that help us understand how to control or eliminate disease with and without drugs and vaccines. It's not to say that vaccines should go away or that drugs should go away. Hear me very carefully. This is simply to say that there are factors that are more important in public health for many diseases, but not all of them at all times, but most of the time. In most cases around the world throughout history, the factors that have helped people get over illnesses are not drugs and they are not vaccines. They are hygiene, which is extremely important for public health, group hygiene as well as individual hygiene, hand washing, care of teeth and tooth decay, the ability to make sure that your body is clean as well as your domicile, your home, and that the public space is clean and that people aren't yelling slop and throwing a bucket of feces out a window when you walk by. That used to happen in parts of the world. Making sure that we don't have open sewers, making sure that we have water treatment and that we have clean water supplies, making sure that individuals have safe beds to sleep in and clean food to eat and sanitary cooking and sanitary water supplies, making sure that people can have a place to wash themselves. This is extremely important for individuals. Another factor is the density of populations. How tightly packed are people in transportation? How tightly packed are they at home and in their living spaces, in their sleeping arrangements, in their everyday living, in their offices, in their travel, out in public spaces? How is ventilation? How are other factors that challenge the immunity of the patient besides the disease, like COVID? For example, if a population of people works in a sick building that's full of mold, that population of people will have a higher probability of getting sick from COVID or any other disease that comes along because they're already burdened by the stressor, the toxin, the mold. That's not to say that everyone, I did not say that everyone who gets exposed to mold is going to get COVID and die. That's not what I said. What I said was there will be a higher statistical probability that individuals that are exposed in large groups that are exposed to stressors will be more susceptible to illness than if they are not. That is critical thinking. That's part of critical thinking. The United States used to be very good at critical thinking, and somehow we've lost it in the last couple decades. The idea of individual immune strength and herd immunity has been bandied about quite a lot. I'm not going to talk about herd immunity today, but I will talk about individual immunity. We have a personal responsibility to take care of our own immune system and that of our families and those that we love and take care of, and that we cook for and we serve and we clean for. If we clean a house or we do laundry for somebody, we are taking their public health in our hands. If we prepare food for them, if we clean a kitchen for them, if we wash the floor for them, we are taking their health in our hands. So I should also mention that there's lots of research that I'm not going to cite right now, but over time, public health research has shown that when you scrub hospitals and you scrub surfaces with brushes and with paper towels and with towels that are laundered and brushes and you use topical cleaners like soap and water, you get better outcomes than when you use some toxic spray. You could take a quaternary ammonium compound, which is the strong thing that everybody uses in hospitals and clinics right now, the standard of care, and you could spray every surface and not wipe it down. And yes, you might kill a whole lot of the organisms that live on those surfaces, but side-by-side studies over time have shown that scrubbing and cleaning and wiping and physical scrubbing is more effective than toxic chemical spraying of surfaces. So I would like to see us do more natural surfactants and natural soaps and natural products with more scrubbing and maybe a little less reliance on just spraying and no scrubbing. There's a lot of research that would save a lot of our economy in medicine and even outside of medicine if we had more labor, more use of labor, more use of diligence in taking care of maintenance of machines and people and buildings and material so that we can get rid of infectious surfaces. The literature is very clear. Cleaning a surface by scrubbing it and by cleaning it with a laundered towel or a disposable paper towel or some kind of sponge or some surface that rubs it is more effective. And these papers are all over the place. We need to eat healthier diets. We need to start using blood markers of immunity to measure immunity. There are measures of general immunity that will show us if we're getting stronger or getting weaker. And I'm not going to name all of them today, but there are a number of blood markers and saliva and urine markers and all kinds of things that help us know if we're overly stressed or not, help us know if we're overly inflamed or not, help us know if our blood chemistries are leaning toward more health or less ideal health. And while those don't guarantee that we can resist specifically a disease like COVID or polio or cancer, that's not critical thinking. Critical thinking is, can we increase our immunity generally? Can we measure and use science to increase our general immunity, even though we can't make a bold statement that says, I am not going to get COVID if I take zinc. Those statements are not able to be made, and no one can make those, and no one will be able to make them because no one's going to pay for that research. So we don't want to look for a black and white solution where we say doing this is going to guarantee the outcome. If you're looking for a guaranteed outcome in healthcare, you've lost your mind. And that's not something that we can do. A person or a society can't find a safe place where they're free of disease always. It's all about probability and reducing the probability. There will always be a mild probability that a meteor could come and blow us up right now and take us all out. But it's a very small probability, and we can't live our lives worried about those slivers of probability. What we need to do is focus on the probabilities that we have control over. And even though they don't give us a clear definition that we won't get COVID, or that we won't die of COVID if we have COVID, what they do is they tell us that we have a higher probability of surviving and being healthy or not getting the infection in the first place. Or if we get the infection, that we will have a better outcome. So that is much better critical thinking without having exact answers. And we're never going to get exact answers. It's going to be hundreds, maybe thousands of years before we have enough money and science and time to do the research to prove those types of statements. And meanwhile, lots of people are going to live, grow old, and die, and we can't wait for that. But critical thinking doesn't require that we know everything perfect.